The following is a presentation of the Arizona Cardinals Broadcast Network. Coming up on Cardinals Game Plan, Dani, Paul, and Coach Jonathan Gannon break down the big Week 2 home opener win over the Panthers. AQ Shipley takes us inside the film room for a closer look at 2 game-changing touchdowns and delivers a scouting report on the Week 3 matchup against our NFC West rivals, the San Francisco 49ers. It's all right now on Cardinals Game Plan, presented by Dignity Health.
All right, welcome in, everyone. We've got the head coach, Jonathan Gannon, Paul Calvisi, Dani Surek. Cardinals are 2-0, all right? Celebrate that, no doubt about it. But they're coming off a win, Dani, that felt like 2 different games.
You had the big lead and the big finish.
Yeah, and that was essentially your post-game message, wasn't it, right? Okay, that, look, celebrate everything, but learn how Carolina made it a game at the end, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, we concentrated Monday and Tuesday on, closing out games better than what we did because we got to do a better job there. And it takes all of us. It's really, we have definitely solutions, so that's a positive. Guys aren't grasping for why that happened. It was very plain to see, but definitely have to close out that game better. And in the future, close out games better all 3 phases.
That was a similar message after the Week 1 win in New Orleans, not just from you, from your players as well. Yeah. What is the formula to finish?
Yeah, it's coaching and playing. I know that's kind of coach speak, which I don't like, but it's the truth. It's being in those situations, understanding everything, all the things that are going on in the game with the score and the time and the plays that are called and the schemes and everything that's involved in that. And just really focusing on our job and the details of doing our job and executing a little bit better.
And the big man, who was the closer, if you want, right? Making a big play in the big moment. I'm not sure the crowd was any louder than when Calais Campbell sealed it with that 4th down sack. I mean, this isn't just a feel-good story. He can still really play, can he?
Yes, he can. He can. I thought he was outstanding the whole game. I mean, he had, the 2 sacks, 3 quarterback pressures, couple TFLs. At the point of attack, how I say, when the ball came to him, he made over 80% of the plays. Like, he's playing at a high level.
He is now the leader in sacks at State Farm Stadium with those final ones. He's got 30.5 inside that stadium, which is pretty impressive. Absolutely. In his return back to Arizona. In practice last week, we saw a lot of ball disruption drills, and that's something you've talked about as wanting to have more takeaways. You got him. Josh Sweat had the strip sack. It was recovered in the end zone by Zaven Collins. Mac Wilson Sr. on the blitz, interception by Baron Browning. To what degree can you coach those takeaways into existence?
Yeah, you definitely got to coach it. And just I think the main thing, like, we have how we define all of the ways that you can take away the ball. And then practicing it, because it's a skill, practicing it, and then having the players execute it. That's the thing. I think the most important thing is showing them when to apply the situations that certain times the ball comes up in a game and when to apply those techniques, And like Sweaty's an example, like the guy got his back to him, he's making the sack. You have the sack with your left arm, search the ball with your right arm, as you're wrapping them up right there. And that's what he did.
You got 6 plays, 45 yards in 47 seconds. I knew you had the punt return to set it all up by Greg Dortch, right? And then the Michael Wilson gets a dart from Kyler Murray. Just all that execution at the very end, how critical was that to the win?
Huge, because we practice that a lot, obviously everybody does, but just to be able to execute the calls, understand what the defense is giving you, when to go out of bounds, when not to go out of bounds. I thought the last play was awesome protection. They decided to drop and play kind of a shell defense, 3 over 2 and 3 over 2. And it was a great route, great catch and great throw by those 2 guys. There's a lot of teams that, after the check down, you slow time out that and walk out with a field goal. I feel like we got the players to be super aggressive in those situations, depending on a game. And that's what we did and came out with 7 points, so that was huge.
You led 27-3 until late in the 3rd quarter. Carolina started making a push. What changed in that last quarter?
Yeah, I think, just our execution. That game, again, I remember telling the media on Monday about this, like, when you get up like that in a game defensively, your brain's telling you one thing and your gut's telling you another thing. But there's some risk reward to play in different ways when you have a lead like that. I thought ultimately we played the way that we should have in the fourth quarter. We just got to clean up some things and make a couple more stops and keeps points off the board.
All right, more JG in a little bit. AQ Shipley into the film room next.
Cardinals Game Plan is brought to you by Dignity Health, proud partner of the Arizona Cardinals. Hello, human kindness. And by SeatGeek, official primary ticketing partner of the Arizona Cardinals. And in part by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey guys, what's up? It's AQ Shipley back with another round of Film Room. Let's dive into the play that set the stadium on fire. Sack, fumble, return for a touchdown. Let's go and diagnose this thing. So here we go. This is very similar to what you see from Brian Flores, Minnesota Vikings DC. You saw them talk about it all year last year. 7 up, if you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. From the offensive perspective, you have no idea who can come. They can bring him by himself. They can bring him by himself. They can bring both of them. Or they can bring him, bail him, bring him. They can do a multitude of things out of this. It's called double barrel or double A gap. And the reason that they call it that is because exactly that. You got 2 linebackers in the A gap on each side of the center. Josh Sweat, defensive end, outside back, or whatever you want to call him, lined up inside as a defensive tackle. What they're going to do is they're going to run a blitz between Davis Gaither setting a pick here, getting Josh Sweat around, and that creates confusion here. And then they're going to zone drop him. They're going to bail Thompson and rush everybody else. Let's check this out. Running back picks up Mac Wilson, but guess what? Look at Davis Gaither. Watch him pull the center right there. If I stop it right there, he pulled the center. Now the center's stuck. Can't get back. Free hitter up the middle. Watch out. Boom. Sack, fumble, pick it up, get out of my way, roll, touchdown, place explodes. Let's go. Okay, let's go to the other side of the ball. One of my favorite plays of the game. Why? Because you got John Gaines, backup offensive lineman, in at fullback. Kelvin Beachum, backup offensive lineman in at left tight end. 2 tight ends in the game as well. More beef than an Arizona cattle farm in on this offensive play. And when we watch this, this is old school football. We're basically going to send tight end. Beach is going to get here. We're going to leave number 7 right there for the pulling guard as he comes around and kicks out. And then basically everyone else is just down block, down block, down block, down block. This is your typical play on the goal line. Typical old school I formation power. And when we get John Gaines, the big fullback in front of James Conner coming out, and we get the kick out right there, and the hole is right there. Let's watch this thing run. Down block, down block, down block, kick out, walk in, touchdown. Let's go. Place goes bananas.
Closed captioning sponsored by Your Valley Chevy Dealers. The segment is presented by Hyundai, proud partner of the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, back with head coach Jonathan Gannon. We've come to say that September is the new August, as a lot of players talk about, you know what, offenses especially are still trying to find, their identity, trying to fine tune. And by the time you get to October, okay, maybe you know who you are and the change in the roster, et cetera. What areas would you like to improve after 2 games? Like, what would be the top of that priority list right now?
As a team or on offense?
As a team,
yeah. I think through 2 games now, we tied the ball and we won the ball. I think we got to keep doing a good job taking the ball away and not giving it away, which we've been good on it. We haven't lost a takeaway battle yet. And then I would think just overall, honestly, schematic execution of what we're doing, playing and play out. And our guys have shown the ability to do that just consistently as they get games under their belt. And a lot of guys now, they're kind of back in the routine of playing 50, 60, 70 plays now with a work week on top of that, the volume of a work week. I think really getting in football condition. And people would say, well, you got all August to do that. There's nothing that takes the place of going through 65, 70, 80 plays in a game. And learning and growing from that. So we need to hit our stride here pretty soon.
This offense runs through running back James Conner. First 2 games, he was held to less than 40 rushing yards each week. How do you get him rolling?
Yeah, I think it takes all 11. You know, we got to do a good job. All 11 guys are responsible for a highly productive run play. You know, we've played some good D linemen these last 2 weeks. I'm not concerned. We'll get the run game going.
How about Kyler's run? I mean, that was epic,
electric.
quintessential Kyler. As a former defensive coordinator, I mean, how frustrating is that for the other team?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's hard to defend that. And obviously he can do that. And it's cool to see because they had a good call on there, and to pick that up, it's a hard pickup for us. So he got pressure in his face kind of immediately. And to be able to get out of that and then not just get out of it and not take a negative play, but to making an explosive play, it's gut-wrenching if you're on the other side of that. So good for the good guys. One for the good guys on that one.
Murray had 4 scoring drives. He led 4 scoring drives on the first 5 possessions. That red zone interception, though, what's the conversation with your quarterback after that?
Yeah, we just talked about it. You know, he knows the value of a yard and what that does to the field goal kicker. At that point, though, we were down there tight enough that yes, you don't want to take a sack, but don't put the ball at risk there. And it's okay us trotting out the field goal team from whatever it was.
All right, Cardinals swept the Niners last season. What do you know for sure you're going to get with a Kyle Shanahan coach team?
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan coach teams, they're violent, they're physical, they play with good pace, and they give you on offense, they give you a lot of different looks. They're hard to defend. It's going to be a good test for us defensively. You know, the Coach Salah's back there. He's obviously one of the best in the business. They've changed some things schematically, and they got premier players.
The NFC West as a whole is off to a pretty hot start. You're juiced for every game, but when this is the first of back-to-back divisional games, you a little extra hyped?
Yeah, and every game's important, but our guys know the value of a divisional opponent on the road. You know, I will say that. So this one means as much as the other 16 that we're going to play, but it is a divisional opponent, and they're a really good football team. So it's going to be a good battle.
All right, we'll break down the Niners when we come back, and JG will give us some keys to the game. All right, week 3, AQ Shipley, and it's my chance because you're playing division games each of the next 2 weeks to break out the phrase, big boy pads. Love that phrase. You know, it's a media favorite. Did you ever used to have big boy pads next to the regular pads in your locker?
Never had that, Paul. Never had that. Same pads. I was trying to wear the smallest pads I could possibly wear, especially going against Michael Bennett, who wore basically no pads back in the day. But it's a big game. There's no question about it. The minute you get into the division, this is exactly what you want. It is good on good. This is exactly what you want. And when you play a Kyle Shanahan team, you know it's going to be running the football and stopping the run. That's how you will beat that team.
Look, with Brock Purdy, he's been really good. Even without Brock Purdy, they've still been good. How big a difference is it going to be?
Yeah, there's no difference, honestly. I mean, we've watched it over and over again with Kyle Shanahan. I think when you look at it, he puts Garoppolo in, doesn't matter. He puts Purdy in, doesn't matter. Christian McCaffrey's in, cool. They're going to be great. Guess what? He's out, next guy in. They just have a next man up mentality, and I think whenever you look, they're going to run the same timing routes, and they're going to hit the ball over the middle, and they're going to hit the out route to McCaffrey. I mean, it's just the system works. Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. He does a great job with those players. All
right, so to your point, you had Mac Jones playing last week. He'd been 4-14 the last couple of years, right? As a starter, yet he comes in, he throws a career-high 3 touchdown passes. They get a win at New Orleans. Christian McCaffrey is back. We know 2 years ago he's the Offensive Player of the Year. But that offensive line in week 1 against Seattle gave up a 60% pressure rate on Brock Purdy. It's one of the reasons Brock Purdy has been dealing with injuries. Trent Williams is a dude. What about the rest of that Niners offensive line?
It's funny you bring up Trent Williams because he struggled in week 1, which is ironic because that is the key piece to that offensive line. But when you look at that San Francisco team, it wasn't so much San Francisco. It was Seattle. Seattle's a lot better than we are giving them credit for right now.
All right, let's talk about the Niners defense. Does it start with Nick Bosa or Fred Warner? Both? Where do you begin that game planning?
Both. 2 jungle cats, if you will, right? Like, Nick Bosa's incredible. Fred Warner's arguably the best linebacker in football. I've played against both of them, and they are both incredible. And when you look at them on tape, Nick Bosa looks like he is trying to have another campaign year. I mean, he looks incredible. He's making plays again. He looks like he's getting off the ball. He didn't have his best year last year, previous to his couple Defensive Player of the Year runs. He looks like he's that guy again. And Fred Warner hasn't lost a step. It's crazy how many years he's been in the league now. Still hasn't lost a step. It goes through those two.
Is it realistic to cram it vertical? Can you get a north-south run game going with James Conner against this Niners defense?
Well, I think if you look at them on defense, I think the weakness of their defense is their interior defensive line. So I think they're going to watch this. You know, whenever they look at the film, they're going to say, hey, how do we attack them? How can we attack them best? Well, the edges are really good. The linebackers are really good. But if we pound the middle of that interior front, I think that is an area you can take advantage of.
And of course, the Cardinals swept the 49ers last year, so they're going to have extra motivation. Kyler had the 50-yard touchdown run at Santa Clara in that victory. We'll come back, get some keys to the game with the head coach.
Cardinals Game Plan is brought to you by Dignity Health, proud partner of the Arizona Cardinals. Hello, human kindness. And by SeatGeek, official primary ticketing partner of the Arizona Cardinals. And in part by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
All right, back with head coach Jonathan Gannon, AQ Shipley, Cardinals radio analyst, former center. So you always hear, at least I do, in the locker room, they say Kyle Shanahan's offense keeps the defense honest. What do they mean by that?
Yeah, he knows how to book numbers. So what they mean by that is you have to defend the entire formation and the entire field because he knows how to create space. And his offense does it kind of naturally. He's got the players to do it. And it's going to be a physical game, so we got to win the line of scrimmage. Or if you don't win the line of scrimmage versus him, you ain't going to win the game.
Some teams, wide receiver-wise, look at the run game as almost an afterthought.
Yeah, not this group.
Not this group, right? So when you play a team like that with the Juwan Jennings and guys who like to stick their nose in it, how much of a challenge does that present?
It is, because you just got to be super disciplined, and no, there's not going to be any freebies. Like he's not going to allow you to have free hats on the ball. So they do a really good job, and they acquire guys who all their receivers, even Pearsall, he's a good blocker. Like they get in there, they get dirty, and they make you got to work to get your hat on the ball. So big time challenge. There's no doubt, AQ.
Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard last week. Now you get Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago, the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he can run it and catch it, right? I mean, what sort of matchup issue is that potentially?
Yeah, he's a matchup nightmare. Quite frank, Paul, he really is, because if you got to use DBs on him, he can still win that matchup and you feel a little bit better, but it's hard to construct defenses that have DBs on them all the time. Linebacker, he creates issues on linebackers in space, and especially how Kyle deploys them. He doesn't allow you to get the number count in your favor. So it's a big time challenge, and he's a good runner. He's got vision, he's got acceleration, he's got power. He doesn't put the ball on the ground, so you're not going to really take it off of him. He's one of the premier backs out there, there's no doubt.
Everything looks the same, right? Whenever they run gap schemes and whenever they run zone schemes, their backside combos look like they're slipping on a zone, but they're really running a gap scheme out this way. Is there anything you guys do different whenever you play against somebody like that?
Yeah, well, what you just said is 100% true, and it's a challenge of playing Kyle Shanahan offense is actually block recognition and then block destruction. Because you might think that you're supposed to fall flat down the line and you can be getting interior wash, getting pounded down, and they're running it the other way. But then the same block to a defensive lineman looks like, oh, well, I'm just going to anchor this and it's moving away from you where you want to run the heel line. So we got to do a really good job with block recognition, block destruction, and everybody fitting where they need to fit. Because if you're not coordinated the right way, that's where the creases show up, and they gas you. But there's no doubt this is one of the best run schemes we're going to see.
I'm curious your thoughts on 4-minute offense at the end of games and how that's evolved, I guess, with the challenge of offensive coordinators recently, right? I think at the end of the game, as I'm studying this, you used to be able to just hand it off 3 times, punt it back to the other team, and hope to win with defense, right? Now you're starting to see teams be more aggressive and win.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, it goes. That's a great question. I think it goes into our guys versus the team that you're playing, and then schematics have a hand in that too. So you got to there's certain defenses that guys can call that you're really selling out to stop the run. You got to be okay with throwing the football because that's the best play type for you to be in. There's other times where even though they're kind of being more aggressive to stop the run, I still think you need to be able to run the football if the score and the clock dictate that. So we would call them 4-minute mechanics AQ, and I think you would like about it. There's must run. Then there's must run, best play. Then there's must best play. Best play. And there's some feel in that too, but we talk about that. We go through our situations with our guys about those things, but I think ultimately the goal does not change. You're trying to win the game with the ball in your hands.
Love it. Game within the game, the matchups. Trey McBride against Fred Warner. That's always good. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. That'll do it for Game Plan with Jonathan Gannon.